Hey, this is Michael with backtothefuturetrading.com, and this is another in a continuing series of videos of our NinjaTrader Unplugged. I was just sitting here reviewing all of the indicators that we've given out for free to the NinjaTrader community, or at least made you aware of the fact that they were available. We had the EMA slope color indicator. Then we had the divergence input series indicator. The ever popular super trend indicator. The ever popular D3 divergence spotter. As well as one of the indicators that was probably one of the most well received, the oscillator alert indicator. So we've given out a lot of free tools and or pointed you in the direction of ones that were available you might not have known about. I want to add to that today and give you a new one to experiment with. See how you do with it. This is the dynamic support and resistance indicator. And it's more along the lines of the kind of tools we develop and help our customers with here at Back to the Future Trading. And I want to give you a little bit of a sense of how it works and how you can use it in your trading. If we go inside the indicator, you'll see there aren't many things that we can change and add to it. And I like that. I like indicators that are simple. But internally, what it's providing to us is fairly useful and extremely complicated, I think, to generate. What we're essentially saying is, look, I want you to go back X number of bars. And here I've chosen a fairly large number. We could go back as many as 5,000 bars. So you're going to make sure that you need to load a lot of historical data if you want to go back. And then we're asking the computer, hey, go back and find every place where the market has put in a pivot. Find every price where market is bounced. Okay, and then this next indicator parameter says the proximity of pivots and ticks to determine where SR level will be. So you have these two abilities here to kind of fine-tune the strength of the past pivots in the past places and prices where the market is almost always bounced. And then we can control some colors. And that's pretty much it. So when we hit close, I want you to understand what these lines represent. The computer is going back into the past and saying, hey, I've studied every place the banks have put in a swing pivot high or a swing pivot low. And I've started keeping track. I've started counting every place that a bounce has occurred. And I'm going to keep track of those for you. And when you start to trade in the morning, I'm going to draw lines, or zones in this case, at the places where price is most likely to bounce. And so you can set the total number of zones in here. I've set mine up to be 6. And I haven't curve fit this. I haven't done anything other than add the lines to the chart. And I wanted you to see where those bounces are occurring. And so right off the bat, this sort of gives you a good idea where to look for longs and shorts in the market. Okay, it also gives you an idea of where to put your stops and targets. So for example, if you see a breakout of a zone, if you see a breakout of a zone like you did here, old support becomes new resistance. And so if it ever returns back to the support level, now you can sort of determine your risk to reward. So can I risk just below this zone here? Can I risk 13 ticks to try to make 50 ticks? Okay, and that sort of seems like a no-brainer, right? And there will be opportunities like that where you're just coming into the zone and you may decide, I want to put my stop just on the other side of that zone and try a low risk entry. So dynamic support and resistance lines are taking into account where the banks have historically stopped and reversed. You don't need fancy order flow analysis tools or Fib confluence areas or any of these other really expensive software packages to determine that. You can just teach your PC to find where are the levels that the banks have been spending a lot of time at. Where they have all the bodies buried. And these are areas that you're going to want to target over time. There's another piece of advice I want to give you, and this one's relatively simple. If you have a big gap between the zones, like we do right here, if you have a big area between the support and resistance lines, I want you to use your Fib Tool. Fib Tool in NinjaTrader is pretty cool, and you can use it for a lot of things. The most important Fib retracement is the 50% line. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a Fib here, and I've got a template saved for a 50% support and resistance zone. So I'm going to hit OK here. And I want you to see where price bounces along that 50% line. You see how it gets tagged 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times, 9 times, 10 times. It's pretty important level. So if you have a big gap between zones, one of the things you can do is cut that area in half. If you want to go real crazy, cut it in half again. And here I've broken those zones into quarters. So I cut it in half, and then I cut the halves in half again. And you'll see that those prices tend to be support and resistance levels as well. So if you're not satisfied with having that super large gap between resistance and support, one of the ways to augment the abilities of this software is to just add 50% retracements and then 50s of the 50 or quarters in between those as well, and you'll get a lot more reaction points. Here's another example of this indicator. Again, it's the same as before, a 1 minute ES chart, a 1 minute chart, but on the E-mini S&P as well. And I want you to see, again, looking back historically, where those bounces have kicked in and where the computer is more or less keeping track of them for us. So extending forward out into the future, you can see where those levels are and where you'd like to maybe formalize an attack. Here's how that would have looked on the DAX, and I'll show you now what the fibs would have looked like in the gaps between these zones. All I've done here again is break up the distance between the last red and the first blue, and you'll see what happens along the way at those fib lines and the reaction points and where they touch. So again, the 50% of the 50% of the 50%, and you can break those zones up as small as you want. Just keeping in mind that you have to cut them in half and then cut them in half again. Here's the indicator on the Euro US dollar. Again, I'm just changing the instruments, not doing anything else. I'm not changing any of the other settings. And I'll leave it to you. A lot of you are way more creative and in pursuing some strategies that I've overlooked and missed. So just to give you a sense of how it might look in different markets. Okay, so we've added this to our arsenal of free indicators for the NinjaTrader community. There's a ton of great tools in NinjaTrader under the indicator section that are there for you for free. We call those the Unplugged Indicators, and we want to help you learn a little bit more about them rather than going out and spending tens of thousands of dollars on software that may already do what some of these free indicators that are in here you've never used before are doing. Well, how do you get those? It's actually pretty simple. You're going to go to this link, backtothefuturetrading.com/unplugged. When you pop that in there, you're going to have a web page that looks eerily like this. There'll be a semi-handsome guy over here who looks a little bit like me. And all you have to do is put your first name and your email in here. The email has to be your email because that's where we're going to send the Dropbox link. The Dropbox link. And when you do that, you're going to have access to our NinjaTrader Unplugged Dropbox. Let's minimize that. And you'll see that one of the indicators included is the dynamic support and resistance indicator. There it is, right here. So once you put your email in, your name, we're going to send you a link to this Dropbox, and that indicator is going to be in there for you to download free of charge from the Trader Guy. If after checking out all those free tools, you want to see what we're doing, what we're building, some of the boundaries we're pushing back, and the bleeding edge technology we're developing, there's a great way for you to do that. Just simply click on the live demo, and you can take our video training series on some of the more advanced techniques that we are instituting here at backtothefuturetrading.com, and that's there for you as well. Lots of great tools, lots of great chances for you as a beginner to get your feet wet, start to learn some very important concepts without spending a lot of money. I hope these videos are useful to you. If they are, and if you need help, just send me an email, michael@backtothefuturetrading.com. Take care, everyone. Have a great trading week. And remember, the market you trade is not random. Take care.